For the next chapter in the Cat o' Nine Tales programme, we'll be looking back at some of the work of one of Ireland's greatest literary figures, William Butler Yeats, a founding member of Ireland's National Theatre at the Abbey, a recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature, a nationalist, and for a short time a politician. Yeats' work covered a variety of subjects from folklore to fantasy. A small selection of his work has been chosen as their favourite pieces by some of our friends of the Cork Arts Theatre, and both they and we are delighted to share their readings with you for Yeats Remembered. Enjoy.
That crazed girl, improvising her music, her poetry dancing upon the shore, her soul in division from itself, climbing and falling she knew not where, hiding amid the cargo of a steamship, her kneecap broken. That girl, I declare, a beautiful, lofty thing, or a thing heroically lost, heroically found. No matter what disaster occurred, she stood in desperate music, wound, 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 and she made in her triumph where the bales and the baskets lay. No common, intelligible sound, but sang, O sea-starved, hungry sea.
Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue, the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half-light. I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams.
The old brown thorn trees break in two high over common strand, under a bitter black wind that blows from the left hand. Our courage breaks like an old tree in a black wind and dies. But we have hidden in our hearts the flame out of the eyes of Kathleen, the daughter of Houlihan. The wind has bundled up the clouds high over Knocknarea and thrown the thunder on the stones for all that Maeve can say. Angers that are like noisy clouds have set our hearts a beat, but we have all bent low, and kissed the quiet feet of Kathleen, the daughter of Houlihan. The yellow pool has overflowed high up on Clooth na Bare, for the wet winds are blowing out of the clinging air. Like heavy flooded waters, our bodies and our blood, but purer than a tall candle before the holy rood, is Kathleen, the daughter of Houlihan,
where dips the rocky highland of Sleuthwood in the lake, there lies a leafy island where flapping herons wake the drowsing water rats. There we've hid our fairy vats, full of berries and of reddest stolen cherries. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wave of moonlight glosses the dim grey sands with light, far off by furthest Rosses we foot it all the night, weaving olden dances, mingling hands and mingling glances till the moon has taken flight. To and fro we leap and chase the frothy bubbles, while the world is full of troubles and anxious in its sleep. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar, in pools among the rushes that scarce could bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears, give them unquiet dreams. Leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Away with us he's going, the solemn-eyed. He'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child, to the water and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than he can understand.
O'Driscoll drove with a song the wild duck and the drake from the tall and tufted reeds of the drear Heart Lake. And he saw how the reeds grew dark at the coming of night tide, and dreamed of the long dim hair of Bridget, his bride. He heard while he sang and dreamed a piper piping away, and never was piping so sad, and never was piping so gay. And he saw young men and young girls who danced on a level place, and Bridget, his bride, among them, with a sad and a gay face. The dancers crowded about him, and many a sweet thing said, and a young man brought him red wine, and a young girl white bread. But Bridget drew him by the sleeve away from the merry bands to old men playing at cards with a twinkling of ancient hands. The bread and the wine had a doom, for these were the host of the air. He sat and played in a dream of her long, dim hair. He played with the merry old men, and thought not of evil chance, until one bore Bridget his bride away from the merry dance. he bore her away in his arms, the handsomest young man there, and his neck and his breast and his arms were drowned in her long dim hair. O'Driscoll scattered the cards, and out of his dream awoke. Old men and young girls were gone like a drifting smoke. But he heard, high up in the air, a piper piping away, and never was piping so sad, and never was piping so gay.
Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The centre cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loose, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Hardly are those words out, when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in the sands of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow thighs, while all about it reel shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again. But now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born.
The trees are in their autumn beauty, the woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight, the water mirrors a still sky. Upon the brimming water among the stones are 59 swans. The 19th autumn has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw, before I had well finished, all suddenly mount and scatter, wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. I have looked upon those brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. All's changed since I, hearing at twilight the first time on this shore the bell beat of their wings above my head, trod with a lighter tread. Unwearied still, lover by lover, they paddle in the cold, companionable streams or climb the air. Their hearts have not grown old. Passion or conquest wander where they will, attend upon them still. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes will they build? By what lake's edge or pool delight men's eyes? When I awake some day to find they have flown away.
Dance there upon the shore. What need have you to care for wind or water's roar? And tumble out your hair that the salt drops have wet. Being young, you have not known the fool's triumph, nor yet love lost as soon as won. And he, the best warrior, dead, and all the sheaves to bind. What need that you should dread the monstrous crying of wind?
When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read, and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur, a little sadly, how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars.